Before you change your life, before you build discipline, before you chase success, there is one question almost nobody asks, a question so simple that most people spend their entire lives avoiding it. Listen carefully. The voice inside your head, the one telling you who you are, who told you that it belongs to you? Think about it. Your fears, your ambitions, your definition of success, your beliefs about money, your opinions, your dreams. How many of them did you truly choose? The uncomfortable truth is this: long before you learned to write your name, someone had already begun writing your identity. Your parents, your teachers, your friends, your culture, television, social media, success stories, failures. Every experience left a fingerprint on the architecture of your mind. And little by little, you stopped asking where your thoughts came from, because familiarity feels like truth. Imagine waking up tomorrow only to discover that the person you've been trying to become was designed by someone else, not through force, not through violence, but through repetition. Tiny ideas, repeated thousands of times until they sounded like your own voice. The most powerful prison has no walls, no guards, no locked doors, because the prisoner never realizes he's inside. This audiobook is not here to tell you what to think. It is here to ask questions that your own mind may have forgotten to ask. Some chapters will make you uncomfortable. Some may challenge beliefs you have protected for years. That discomfort isn't your enemy. Sometimes it is the first sign that your mind has finally begun to wake up. So don't listen to agree. Don't listen to disagree. Listen as if you were meeting yourself for the very first time. Because by the end of this journey, you may discover something unexpected. The invisible prison was never built around you. It was built inside you. And every prison, no matter how invisible, has a door. The question is, will you recognize it when you finally see it? When you were born, your mind was empty, not weak, not incomplete, simply untouched. You had no opinion about success, no opinion about failure, no opinion about money, no opinion about yourself. You looked at the world without labels, without comparison, without fear. Then, the lessons began. Some were spoken, others were silent. Someone smiled when you behaved a certain way. Someone frowned when you asked the wrong question. Someone praised you for fitting in. Someone ignored you for being different. Without realizing it, your brain was learning a dangerous equation. Acceptance equals safety. Difference equals risk. That equation followed you into school, into friendships, into work, into adulthood, until one day, you no longer asked, "What do I believe?" You only asked, "What will people think?" This is how invisible prisons are built. Not with chains, with habits, not with locks, with repetition. Every repeated sentence becomes familiar. Every familiar idea begins to feel true, even when it isn't. A child who hears, "You're not good enough," 1,000 times, will eventually stop hearing the sentence. He becomes the sentence. A girl constantly told, "Stay quiet," will someday mistake silence for personality. A boy repeatedly praised only when he wins may grow into a man who believes his value depends entirely on success. The tragedy isn't that people lie to us. The tragedy is that eventually we continue telling those lies to ourselves. Psychologists call this conditioning. Philosophers call it illusion. But perhaps there is a simpler word: inheritance. Not of money, not of houses, but of thought. You inherited ideas you never agreed to carry. Some made you stronger. Others became invisible cages. Ask yourself something uncomfortable. How many decisions did you make this year simply because they felt normal? Normal according to whom? Your family? Your culture? Your generation? Or your own conscience? Freedom doesn't begin when you escape the world. Freedom begins the moment you notice which voice inside your head is truly yours, and which voice is merely an echo of someone else's life. Every prison has a foundation. This was yours. But foundations can be rebuilt. The question is, who will become the architect of the mind you live in tomorrow? There is a strange illusion almost everyone believes. They think they became the person they are by making independent choices. But what if most of those choices were designed long before they ever felt like choices? No prison can survive without architects. Not architects who build walls. Architects who build beliefs. Quietly, patiently, almost invisibly. Your first architect wasn't a teacher. It wasn't a politician. It wasn't the internet. It was the environment that surrounded you. Before you could question anything, a child doesn't ask, "Is this belief true?" A child asks, "Will this help me belong?" Because belonging comes before reasoning. Acceptance comes before logic. Love comes before truth. That is why the ideas learned earliest often become the hardest to challenge. Not because they are correct, because they feel safe. Safety has an unusual power. It convinces people that familiar ideas must also be accurate. But history tells another story. Entire civilizations once believed the earth stood still. Entire societies believed some people were born superior to others. Millions accepted these ideas, not because they were true, because everyone around them believed them. Consensus has never been proof. It has only been proof of agreement. The architects of your mind understand something extraordinary. Human beings rarely resist what enters slowly. They resist only what arrives suddenly. That is why the most powerful influence never shouts. It whispers. Every day, every advertisement, every headline, every conversation, every comparison, every notification. Tiny suggestions. Repeated, repeated, repeated again, until repetition begins wearing the mask of reality. One day, you no longer notice the influence because it sounds exactly like your own thoughts. Ask yourself something. How many things do you truly want, and how many things have you simply been taught to desire? The expensive car, the perfect body, the endless validation, the constant productivity, the race that everyone seems to be running without remembering who started it. The invisible architects never force you to run. They simply convince you that everyone else already is, and suddenly, standing still feels like failure. The greatest illusion was never making you obey. It was making you believe. The commands were your own ideas. Perhaps that is why silence feels uncomfortable, because silence is where borrowed voices become easier to hear. Every moment of solitude is an opportunity to discover whether your thoughts arrived from within or merely echoed from the world outside. The invisible architects are powerful, but they possess one weakness. They lose their influence the moment you begin asking one simple question. Why do I believe this? Because every prison built on unconscious belief begins to crack the instant conscious awareness walks through the door. Imagine you are standing inside a room so comfortable that you never notice. The door is unlocked. This is not freedom, it is comfort. And the human mind confuses the two more often than it realizes. Nature designed your brain to protect you, not to transform you. Long before cities, long before money, long before civilization, survival depended on avoiding uncertainty. The unknown could mean hunger, predators, death. Your ancestors survived, not because they loved change, but because they feared it. Thousands of years later, the predators disappeared, but the fear remained. Only now, it wears different clothes. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment, fear of being misunderstood, fear of starting over. The danger changed. The brain did not. This is why comfort is so seductive. It promises safety. It whispers, "Stay here. Tomorrow is better. You can begin next week. You are not ready yet." Listen carefully. Those words do not sound like fear. They sound like reason. That is what makes them dangerous. The prison rarely locks the door. It simply convinces you there is no reason to leave. Ask yourself, how many dreams have quietly died? Not because they were impossible, but because they were postponed. One comfortable day at a time. Every great transformation begins with discomfort. The athlete feels pain before strength. The writer faces the empty page. The entrepreneur accepts uncertainty. The philosopher questions everything. Growth has always demanded a price. Comfort asks for nothing except your future. Look around. The people who inspire you were not fearless. They simply learned that temporary discomfort is cheaper than lifelong regret. There is another illusion. Many believe confidence comes first, then action. Reality works differently. Action creates confidence, not the other way around. Every courageous person was once uncertain. Every master was once a beginner. Every remarkable life began with someone willing to feel uncomfortable long enough to become someone new. Comfort has a strange effect. The longer you stay, the smaller your world becomes. Not because opportunities disappear, because your imagination quietly adjusts to the size of your routine. Soon, you stop dreaming. Not because dreams are impossible, because your prison has become familiar. The invisible prison doesn't need chains. It only needs a comfortable chair, a predictable routine, and a voice that gently says, "This is enough." But somewhere inside you, there is another voice, quieter, almost forgotten. The voice that remembers who you wanted to become before comfort became your identity. The question is not whether that voice still exists. The question is, will you keep listening to comfort, or will you finally listen to yourself? Because every extraordinary life begins the moment someone chooses an uncomfortable truth over a comfortable illusion. The addiction nobody talks about. There is a drug more powerful than money, more seductive than comfort, more addictive than success itself. Almost everyone consumes it. Very few realize they are addicted. It has no bottle, no needle, no warning label. Yet it quietly shapes entire lives. Its name is approval. From the moment you were a child, you discovered something remarkable. When people approved of you, you felt safe. When they applauded, you felt valuable. When they smiled, you felt accepted. And your brain remembered the feeling. Not because you were weak, because you were human. Belonging has always been one of humanity's oldest survival instincts, thousands of years ago. Being rejected by your tribe could mean death. Today, rejection rarely threatens your life, yet your brain still reacts as if it does. This is why a stranger's opinion can ruin an entire day. One negative comment can outweigh 100 compliments. One moment of criticism can echo in your mind for years. The invisible prison doesn't ask, "What do you believe?" It asks, "What will they think?" And suddenly, your choices stop belonging to you. Some people choose careers to impress people they secretly dislike. Some buy expensive things to gain respect from strangers who never cared. Some remain silent, afraid their honesty might cost them acceptance. And little by little, a performance becomes an identity. Look carefully. How many times have you hidden a part of yourself simply to avoid being judged? How many dreams were abandoned, not because they were impossible, but because someone might laugh? The prison grows stronger every time. Approval becomes more important than authenticity. Social media did not create this addiction. It simply learned how to feed it. Every notification, every like, every comment, every number promises something ancient. Acceptance, validation, belonging. For a brief moment, your brain whispers, "You matter." Then, the feeling disappears, and you search for the next dose. This is why no amount of applause is ever enough, because approval was never designed to become the foundation of identity. The strongest people are not those who receive the most admiration. They are the ones who remain unchanged, whether they receive admiration or criticism, because their worth no longer depends on an audience. Freedom begins the day you stop asking, "Do they approve of me?" and begin asking, "Do I approve of the person I am becoming?" That question changes everything, because the moment your self-respect becomes louder than the crowd, the invisible prison loses another wall. Perhaps the greatest victory isn't convincing the world to believe in you. Perhaps it is finally learning to stop borrowing your value from the opinions of people who never truly knew you. The economy of attention. There was a time when gold was the most valuable resource on Earth. Then came oil, then information. Today, the most valuable currency is something you spend without ever seeing it. Your attention every morning before you even speak. Someone is competing for your mind. A notification, a headline, a video, a message, an advertisement. None of them want your money first. They want your attention, because whoever owns your attention slowly begins to influence your decisions. Think about it. You guard your wallet, you protect your home, you lock your doors. But how often Do you protect your own mind? Attention is the doorway through which every belief enters. Nothing influences you until it first captures your attention. That is why entire industries spend billions learning one simple question: how do we keep people looking, even when they no longer enjoy what they are seeing? The answer is remarkably simple. Keep them distracted. Never allow silence. Never allow reflection. Never allow boredom. Because boredom is dangerous. Not for you. For those who profit from your distraction. A distracted mind rarely asks difficult questions. It consumes. It reacts. It scrolls. It compares. It repeats. Until one day, it forgets how to think deeply. Imagine trying to read while someone whispers in your ear every 10 seconds. Eventually, you would stop reading. This is exactly what constant distraction does to the mind. Not loudly, quietly, patiently, day after day. The tragedy is not that people lose their attention. The tragedy is that they lose their ability to decide where it belongs. Every time you say yes to something unimportant, you quietly say no to something meaningful. Every unnecessary distraction steals a small piece of the life you could have built. The strongest minds are not those who know the most. They are the ones who decide what deserves their attention. A philosopher protects attention. An artist protects attention. A creator protects attention because they understand attention becomes thought. Thought becomes action. Action becomes identity. Identity becomes destiny. So ask yourself, who has been writing the script of your attention? Was it your purpose or an algorithm designed to keep you watching just a little longer? Perhaps the invisible prison was never built from fear or comfort or approval alone. Perhaps it was built one distraction at a time. The moment you reclaim your attention, you reclaim the direction of your life. Because every great transformation begins not by changing the world around you, but by choosing what your mind will allow inside. Guard your attention as if it were treasure, because it is. It is the one resource you can never earn back once it has been spent. And maybe that is why the richest people are not always those who own the most, but those who still own their own minds. The identity illusion. There is one question that quietly controls almost every decision you will ever make. Not, what do I want? Not, what should I do? But something far deeper. Who am I? Most people believe identity is something they discover. It isn't. Most identities are inherited, repeated, reinforced, until they become invisible. Listen carefully. The moment someone says, "I'm shy, I am unlucky, I am not a leader, I am bad with money, I am just an ordinary person," they are no longer describing themselves. They are defending a prison. The mind will always fight to protect the identity it believes, even when that identity creates suffering. Imagine a man who has repeated, "I always fail," for 20 years. One opportunity appears. He hesitates. Not because the opportunity is wrong, because success would force him to become someone he no longer recognizes. Identity always wins. That is why changing habits without changing identity almost never lasts. People don't act according to reality. They act. According to the story, they tell themselves about reality. A smoker doesn't simply smoke. He protects the identity of being a smoker. A disciplined person doesn't force himself to wake up early. He wakes up because discipline has become who he is. The richest mindset isn't thinking, I want money. It is thinking, I become the kind of person who creates value. Notice the difference. One chases outcomes. The other transforms identity. The invisible prison depends on one simple sentence. This is just who I am. No, perhaps it is simply who you have practiced being. Every thought, repeated often enough, becomes familiar. Every familiar thought becomes believable. Every believable thought becomes identity, and identity quietly begins writing your future. Here's something strange. Your brain would rather be consistent than correct. If your identity says, I never finish what I start, your brain will find evidence to prove it. Not because it is true, because consistency feels safe. That is why changing your life feels uncomfortable. You are not simply changing actions. You are negotiating with an old identity that fears being replaced. Ask yourself, who would you become if no one had ever told you who you were? Would you still fear the same things? Would you still chase the same goals? Would you still limit yourself with the same labels? The invisible prison is not built from walls. It is built from sentences, repeated until they sound like your own name. But if identity can be learned, it can also be rewritten. Not overnight, not with motivation, but with evidence. Small actions, repeated daily, until your mind can no longer deny who you are becoming. Perhaps freedom isn't escaping the prison. Perhaps freedom begins the moment you stop introducing yourself with yesterday's story and begin writing tomorrow's. The mirror you never chose. There is a mirror you look into every single day. Not the one hanging on your wall, a far more dangerous one. The mirror made from other people. Long before you knew who you were, you learned who others believed you should become. And slowly, without noticing, their expectations became your reflection. A child looks into the eyes of his parents to discover who he is. A student looks at grades. An employee looks at promotions. A creator looks at numbers. A stranger looks at approval. Everyone searching for themselves in mirrors they never built. The problem isn't that mirrors exist. The problem is forgetting that mirrors only reflect. They never define. Imagine walking into a room filled with distorted mirrors. One makes you taller. One makes you smaller. One changes your face. One twists your body. Would you believe any of them? Of course not. Then why do you believe every opinion someone has about you? One person calls you intelligent. Another calls you naive. One sees confidence. Another sees arrogance. One admires your silence. Another mistakes it for weakness. Who is right? Perhaps none of them. Because people rarely see you as you are. They see you through themselves, their fears, their beliefs, their wounds, their expectations. Every judgment reveals something about the observer, not only about the observed. The invisible prison becomes stronger when you confuse someone else's perception, with your identity. How many dreams have disappeared because one person didn't understand them? How many talents were buried because someone laughed before they bloomed? How many futures were abandoned to protect a reputation that existed only inside someone else's imagination? This is the tragedy. People spend years building a life designed to impress people who were never watching that closely. Most people are too busy trying to survive, to analyze every step you take. The audience you fear exists mostly inside your own mind. Freedom begins when you realize you are not living inside their thoughts. You are living inside yours. There comes a moment in every meaningful life when a choice appears. Remain the person others recognize, or become the person your conscience has been quietly calling. That choice always feels lonely, because growth often begins where approval ends. The mirror you never chose has shown you 1,000 versions of yourself. Strong, weak, successful, broken, capable, unworthy. But there is one reflection it can never reveal: the person you become when you stop looking into it. Perhaps that is why the wisest people spend less time searching for better mirrors and more time building a clearer mind. Because the day you stop asking, "How do they see me?" and begin asking, "Who am I?" when no one is looking, the invisible prison loses another key. And for the first time, the face looking back at you may finally be your own. The silent war. There is a battle you have been fighting every single day without realizing. A battle no one else can see. No applause, no witnesses, no medals. Yet every decision, every habit, every regret is shaped by its outcome. The battlefield is your own mind. Most people believe their greatest enemy lives somewhere outside. A difficult boss, a bad economy, an unfair world, bad luck. But the oldest philosophers and the greatest psychologists arrived at a different conclusion. The longest war has always existed between the person you are and the person you could become. Every morning, two voices awaken with you. One whispers, "Stay where it's safe." The other quietly asks, "What if today could be different?" Neither voice is louder. The one that wins is simply the one you feed. Here is something strange. The mind cannot distinguish between repetition and truth. Repeat fear long enough, and it becomes certainty. Repeat courage long enough, and it becomes identity. Every habit is a vote, not for what you do, but for who you become. Imagine a sculptor standing before a massive block of marble. He doesn't create the masterpiece. In one strike, one careful cut, then another, then another. Thousands of almost invisible choices, until one day, everyone calls it a masterpiece. Your mind works exactly the same way. You are always carving yourself. Every thought, every decision, every excuse, every promise you keep, every promise you break. Nothing is neutral. Everything leaves a mark. The invisible prison depends on one dangerous illusion. It whispers, "This decision doesn't matter." Skip today's work, ignore today's reading, break today's promise, rest one more day. No one will notice. Perhaps no one else will. But your mind always notices. Every action, teaches your brain what kind of person you believe yourself to be. That is why self-respect cannot be purchased. It cannot be inherited. It cannot be borrowed. It is quietly earned, one decision at a time. People often ask, what is the secret to extraordinary discipline? Perhaps they are asking the wrong question. Discipline is rarely the beginning. It is the consequence of becoming someone who no longer negotiates with every passing emotion. Emotions are weather. Identity is climate. Weather changes. Climate endures. The strongest minds still experience fear, still experience doubt, still experience temptation. The difference is simple. They stopped allowing temporary emotions to make permanent decisions. The silent war will never end. Every sunrise invites it back. Every opportunity renews it. Every excuse strengthens one side. Every courageous action strengthens the other. Victory does not belong to the strongest. It belongs to the person who keeps showing up long after motivation has disappeared. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about freedom is believing it arrives when life becomes easy. No, freedom arrives the moment your highest values become stronger than your strongest excuses. And when that day comes, the invisible prison will still exist. But for the first time, its walls will no longer decide how far you are willing to walk. The wealth that cannot be stolen. When people hear the word wealth, most minds immediately imagine money, banks, luxury, possessions, numbers on a screen. But money has always been the final chapter, never the first. Long before wealth appears in a bank account, it appears inside a mind. Look closely at history. Empires have collapsed. Currencies have disappeared. Fortunes have been lost overnight. Yet somehow, some people built everything again. Why? Because what they lost was money, not the mind that created it. There is a profound difference between someone who has money and someone who knows how to create value. One depends on circumstances. The other creates circumstances. This is why some people win the lottery only to lose everything a few years later. They changed their income. They never changed their identity. Remember what we discovered earlier. Identity always pulls reality back toward itself. If someone still believes, I am poor, I am powerless, I am unlucky, then every opportunity feels unfamiliar. Every success feels temporary. And eventually, without realizing it, they return to the only life their identity knows how to live. Money doesn't simply reveal your habits, it amplifies them. Discipline becomes greater discipline. Chaos becomes greater chaos. Generosity expands. Greed expands. Money rarely changes people. It magnifies who they already are. Ask yourself, if everything you own today disappeared tomorrow, what would remain? Your knowledge, your character, your discipline, your courage, your ability to solve problems? Those are forms of wealth no thief can ever steal. The invisible prison tries to convince you that wealth exists outside you. It whispers, if only you had more money, more connections, more opportunities, more luck. But perhaps the real question is different. Who would you become if you mastered your attention, your discipline, your emotions, your thinking? Would wealth still feel impossible? The richest people in history did not simply accumulate resources. They accumulated ways of seeing, ways of solving, ways of creating, ways of serving. Money was merely the consequence. Imagine two people standing before the exact same opportunity. One sees risk, the other sees possibility. One sees obstacles, the other sees lessons. One waits for certainty, the other builds certainty by acting. The opportunity never changed, only the mind observing it. Perhaps, and that is why true wealth can never be measured, only in possessions, because the greatest fortune is becoming the kind of person who cannot remain poor in thought, even before life changes. In reality, the invisible prison begins to collapse the moment you stop asking, "How do I become rich?" and begin asking, "What kind of mind creates value wherever it goes?" Because fortunes can disappear, reputations can fade, markets can crash, but a disciplined mind, a curious mind, a courageous mind will always find another way forward. Perhaps the greatest investment you will ever make is not in the world. It is in the person who will face the world tomorrow. The prisoner who never saw his chains. There was once a prisoner who had never seen a prison. He had no chains, no guards, no locked doors. Every morning, he woke up, walked the same road, spoke the same words, dreamed the same dreams. And every night, he told himself, "I am free." One day, a traveler arrived. He watched the prisoner's life for only a few minutes. Then he asked a strange question. "When was the last time you made a decision that frightened you?" The prisoner smiled. "Why would I do that? I already know who I am." The traveler remained silent, then asked again, "Or perhaps you only know who you've always been?" The prisoner laughed. "I have everything I need." The traveler nodded. "That wasn't my question." Days passed. The prisoner's thoughts refused to leave him. Not because the traveler had given him answers, because he had left him with questions. For the first time, the prisoner noticed something he had ignored. His routine was not a choice. It was repetition. His opinions were not discoveries. They were inheritances. His fears had names he had never chosen. The next morning, he decided to take a different road, only one street away. Nothing dramatic, nothing dangerous. Yet his heart began racing. His hands became cold. His mind whispered, "Go back. This isn't you. You've never done this before." He stopped walking, not because the road was blocked, because his identity was. At that moment, he understood something that changed his life forever. The prison was never outside him. The walls were made of certainty. The bars were built from repetition. The lock was fear, and the key had always been awareness. Over the following weeks, he began making tiny changes, reading books he once ignored, speaking honestly where he once remained silent, walking unfamiliar paths, questioning old beliefs, listening more, reacting less. None of these actions changed the world. They changed the person experiencing it. Months later, people around him began asking, "What happened to you? You've changed." He smiled. "No, I've stopped pretending." Then one child asked him, Were you really a prisoner? He looked at the child for a long moment, then answered, "The saddest prisons are the ones where people spend their entire lives without ever realizing they were free to leave." Years passed. The traveler returned. He found the man standing at the top of a hill, watching the sunrise. The traveler smiled. "So, did you escape?" The man looked toward the horizon, then quietly replied, "I never escaped. I simply discovered the door had never been locked." Perhaps that is the greatest secret no philosophy can fully teach. Freedom is rarely found by changing your location. It is found by changing the story you believe about yourself. And maybe, as you listen to these words, you are beginning to notice a door you had walked past thousands of times, not because it was hidden, because until now, you never believed it could possibly be open. Become the architect. There comes a moment in every life when the excuses become too small to carry anymore, not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because the truth becomes impossible to ignore. You have now seen the prison. You have met its architects. You have heard its whispers. You have watched how it borrows identities, sells comfort, rewards conformity, and quietly purchases your attention. The question is no longer, does the prison exist? The question is, who will design the life that comes after it? Most people spend their entire lives waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel ready, waiting for permission, waiting for the perfect moment. But there is something nobody tells them. The perfect moment never arrives. It is built brick by brick, choice by choice, thought by thought. An architect doesn't wait for a beautiful building to appear. He creates it patiently, deliberately, one decision at a time. Your mind works the same way. Every belief is a brick. Every habit is a beam. Every promise you keep strengthens the foundation. Every promise you break weakens it. People often believe transformation requires one dramatic moment, one life-changing event, one powerful speech, one unforgettable book. Sometimes it does, but more often, transformation arrives quietly. It hides inside ordinary days, inside small decisions, inside moments nobody applauds. The day you wake up without pressing snooze. The day you tell the truth, even when it costs you. The day you stop blaming and begin building. The day you choose discipline over mood, purpose over approval, curiosity over certainty, responsibility over excuses. Those moments will never become headlines, but together they become a new identity. Look carefully at the people you admire most. They are not free from fear. They are not free from doubt. They simply decided that their future was too valuable to leave in the hands of yesterday's thinking. You don't need a new life. You need a new architect, and no one can become that architect except you. There will be days when the old prison calls your name. It will remind you of comfort, of certainty, of the familiar. Don't hate that voice. Simply recognize it, smile, and keep walking, because every step away from unconscious living is another step toward freedom. The invisible prison will always exist for everyone. The difference is that some people choose to decorate their prison, while others choose to build a world beyond it. Today, you stand holding two blueprints. The first was handed to you by the world. The second is still blank. One of them contains the life everyone expected. The other contains the life only you can create. The choice has always been yours. You simply didn't know you were holding the pencil.